Hello and welcome to Valuechain News. I am Naomi Oleribe. First, the headlines. NLNG NMDPRA to partner on domestic gas supply. Rivers community protests alleged neglect by AGIP. PIA is a game changer, LCCI. And now, the news in detail. The Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority (NMDPRA), Engineer Farouk Ahmed, has indicated interest to collaborate with the Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas (NLNG) to increase cooking gas usage, transportation, and power generation. Farouk, who spoke in Abuja when he received the management of the NLNG on a courtesy visit to his office, commended the organization for its focus in prioritizing domestic supply, which has had a significant impact on deepening gas consumption in the country. The NMDPRA boss reiterated federal government's goal of deepening LPG and CNG, especially for auto gas, as an alternative to premium motor spirit (PMS) to cushion the effects in situation of upward spike in oil prices. Responding, NLNG's Managing Director, Dr. Philip Michel Bila, said the company will continue to prioritize the growing domestic LPG market and increase utilization by supplying 100% of its propane and butane production to end users. Michel Bila reiterated that the ongoing plans of the NLNG to commence operations for the Nigerian domestic LNG market this year was in line with the government's plan to boost local consumption. Some community members of Rumueme in Obiakpo Council of Rivers State yesterday protested at the premises of the Nigerian AGIP oil company operating in the community over alleged negligence. Valuechain gathered that men, women, and youths from the community picketed the company as they erected a makeshift tent and placed a casket with raffia leaves tied around the gate of the company, denying workers access into their offices. Ovunda Chukwu and Henry Amadi, who led the protest, said they were protesting over what they described as outright negligence of the community by AGIP. They alleged that the multinational company had refused to employ their youths and provide basic amenities for the community. Meanwhile, no official of the company came out to address the protesters, but security operatives were deployed at the gate of the company. Efforts to reach the company's public relations officer proved abortive as telephone calls and text messages were not replied to as at press time. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry (LCCI) has urged the federal government to ensure the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021 (PIA 2021) because if successfully implemented, it is going to be a game changer in the oil and gas industry. LCCI Director General Dr. Chinyere Almona, who made this known during the week, called on all stakeholders to ensure the full implementation of the Act. The Chamber had earlier issued a statement commending the federal government and made a strong case for best practice in the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. Shell has made a significant oil and gas discovery offshore in Namibia, one of the expected hotspots for exploration this year, Reuters reported on Tuesday, quoting three sources in the industry. Shell, which started drilling the Graph 1 well in Namibia's waters in December, has found resources estimated at 250 to 300 million barrels of oil and gas equivalent, one of the sources told Reuters. The government of Namibia is expected to make an announcement next week, the sources said. Namibia does not produce oil and gas, but the offshore area around it is thought to hold a lot of resources, and analysts believe it will be one of the top high-impact exploration hotspots this year. Namibia's neighbor to the north is OPEC producer Angola, which has a lot of offshore developments. Namibia is again under the spotlight as Shell bank on the highly anticipated Graph 1 to unlock frontier plays in the Orange Sub-Basin, Eric Meyer and Hugh Ewan, senior technical research analyst, said. If successful, Graph 1 could spark significant international investments to a region which has had minimal E&P activity over the last 25 years, the sources added. However, it is not clear yet if Shell's discovery is as big as to lead to a deepwater development offshore in Namibia. The US president is set to host the Emir of Qatar next week Monday. The visit comes as US and European allies scramble to put together contingency plans to meet Europe's energy needs should supplies be affected by Russia's apparent incursions into Ukraine. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said Mr. Biden and Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad plan to discuss Middle East security, ensuring the stability of global energy supplies and the situation in Afghanistan, where humanitarian conditions have deteriorated in the aftermath of the U.S. military withdrawal and Taliban takeover last year. Qatar is one of the world's largest suppliers of liquefied natural gas and is among countries the US is hoping could help Europe should the Russian invasion of Ukraine lead to Moscow stemming the flow of energy. About 100,000 Russian troops are currently stationed near the Ukraine border. Mr. Biden has repeatedly said Russia will face severe consequences if it further invades Ukraine. Europe could look to natural gas supplies in North Africa, the Middle East, Asia, and the US if needed. The effort will require rather smaller volumes from a multitude of sources to make up for a Russian cutoff, according to a senior Biden administration official who spoke about internal deliberation on the condition of anonymity. The Lagos state government has announced an indefinite suspension of activities of the National Union of Road Transport Workers at Eni Eyo Church Street and Idumota Bridge in Lagos Island. The ban by the state government follows the recent violent clashes by two factions of the transport union in that area, in which there were reported casualties. This was made known by the Special Advisor to the Lagos State Governor on Transportation, Oluwatoyin Fayinka, at a stakeholders meeting comprising of NURTW, Central Business District, and Lagos State Market Women Association held at Alausa, Ikeja, to address the crisis often caused by activities of members of the transport union. Fayinka said that the ban was to prevent further acts of violence in that axis, adding that the Lagos State Parks Monitoring Authority will resume work at Eyo. Fayinka added that the Rapid Response Squad (RRS) has been directed to deploy armored personnel carrier to the affected areas. Before we end the news, here's a recap of our headlines. NLNG NMDPRA to partner on domestic gas supply. Rivers community protests alleged neglect by Ajib. PIA is a game changer LCCI. And that's the news. I am Naomi Oleripe. Good evening.